The eyes are unsettling though, aren't they? It's like, I think it's the fact they don't blink. I think that's what it is. Okay. Wonderful news. Hello people, and welcome to Foundation. I hope you're having a wonderful day. The developer has sent me a key for this, and we've also had some comments, weirdly enough, at the same time, asking to play Foundation, so here we are. This is another kind of collect rocks, berries, wood and stone and keep the settlers happy sort of medieval survival settlement game, but this one's pretty good and has been around for a while, I understand, and also has a pretty active modding scene on the workshop. If you want to come and check this out after today's video, it will be linked down below, but otherwise let's come in and start a new game, shall we? So we are greeted with 5 different types of biome, it looks like. So I've played the valley before, so I think we're going to go with the valley here, and then this is where you can enable your mods and stuff, if you have any, which I don't. So this is Foundation, and what a wonderfully charming, pretty game. It does have this kind of almost like cel-shaded art style to it, but it's nice, right? Very pretty to look at, quite charming. Lots of trees as well, which is always good for us, right? So we start out by purchasing a territory. So we're going to purchase this, and it's working on kind of a hexagon system in vein to civilization. So again, your controls, everything is pretty similar to cities. Mouse wheel can pan the camera, WASD are going to move you around. All very familiar simulation controls. And we've got some information at the top. We have some coins, we have an average daily balance, some resources which at the minute are totally empty, a population count, a happiness meter, a villager's unemployed count. We currently have no quests. We can pause the game by hitting our spacebar and control the speeds with 1, 2 and 3, fantastic. And then we can build. So we're going to drop in a little village centre, okay? And let's see where we can put this in. How about right here? We'll hit build, and this is going to spawn in our villages, and they are a little bit.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
So the villagers have been through some things over the last few months, but hopefully we can build something to cheer them up. So now it's a case of coming back into the build menu, and of course in the vein of all these games you move through and place down various different resource gathering buildings. So the first one's going to be a builder's workshop, and this is going to allow us to assign builders to go out and actually build the things that we're placing, which is great. So we can place that, and that's going to be built, and then we can click on the building itself and actually assign builders. And when we click this little drop down here, it will show them exactly what they're doing, and they will level up through various different skill sets as well. When you do come in to look at your population in the book down here, you can see them. Well, we have 3 level 1 builders right now, and these bars will fill up and they will move through the levels and they can be promoted and do more things. So really cool way of engaging with the population in a game like this. I quite like that. Anyway, let's carry on building. So we definitely want to start getting some wood. Let's go ahead and grab a lumberyard. So this is going to have a little radius on it, which is of course where they will go to fetch the wood, but there's still something we need to do after placing the lumber camp in order for the wood to be harvested. So we're going to attempt to build that, and then hopefully our little villagers here are going to head over to the lumber camp. Yes, there we go. And if you get stuck with anything in the game at any time, this little icon up here is amazing, and you can search and filter and come down into all these little subcategories. So it's nice to have some little handy tutorial tips so close to hand like that in a game like this. I do appreciate it. Okay, so they're going to start building our lumber camp, but we need to come into this little paint district tool now and set things up for extraction. So painting this district will allow wood cutting, stone cutting and berry gathering, which are things we are all so fond of, aren't we? There's nothing quite like a weekend of gathering berries. So we can draw them over the stone and the berries that we see on the map, likewise the trees as well. And then the respective buildings will harvest those resources within the designated area, which is very cool. Okay, so we can see our resources are starting to come into play here now as well, right? Let's go ahead and grab a stone mill, or stone cutter's camp, because again this is going to allow us to start placing and harvesting some stone. So why don't we drop it over near the stone, and we'll tell someone to build that again as well. So one thing I absolutely love about this game, you're not drawing in pathways or roads. That's something that's really setting it away from all the others. And as they walk through the grass, they will naturally tread kind of a pathway through the forest. Whether or not we actually get roads eventually, maybe through some sort of progression or technology system, but I love that they walk manually and it just trods down. So good. Much appreciation for that. So our lumber camp has been built. This is great. And again, the same process here. We now need to assign some workers. So let's send 2 people over to the lumber camp. And as the AI picks up that they have actually been sent here, they arrive with their little axes. How nice is that? I love that. Very charming art style, right? It's lovely. So, now we want to produce some berries. Let's come back into the build menu. And we want to grab a forager's camp, or a gatherer's hut rather. Again, I think we'll kind of keep everything immediately focused around this initial town centre, if you will. And that's going to take 10 wood to build, which our lumber camp is going to be producing those logs now as well, and they can be further processed into stuff like planks by using sawmills, so you kind of get in different subcategories of the resources as the game opens up and expands. So your unemployed workers will just chill out in the town centre. I think until at least we have housing, until they get a job anyway, but we'll tell these guys to go and start gathering some berries, because food is important, of course. There we go. So we're going to go, yeah, let's get the last 3 workers in there. So now we have no more unemployed workers, and everyone should be gathering berries, cutting stone, or having wood, or gathering wood rather. So we now have a quest to produce berries, and again, to prevent hunger and starvation, we'll need to secure a basic source of food. And there it is, we just got our first berries, and they're now starting to stock up in here. So it looks like each of the workers is dropping off 1 berry per run. That seems a little bit inefficient of a way of doing it. You think they would bring more than 1 back, but of course I'm joking, right, of course. Okay, so they're going to start stocking food up at the gatherer's hut for us. So now it wants us to stock our resources, for which we need a granary. So back into the build menu, and we have a granary here, which is going to cost us 5 stone and 15 logs, and we don't currently have any stone, do we? Now that's because no one has been told to work at the stonecutters camp, which is going to make perfect sense. So why don't I remove 2 of my builders here, since we're not currently building anything, and then these guys can come in and work at the stonecutters camp. So I believe we also get messages kind of saying there's an influx of immigration coming, and that's a chance to expand your population, and likewise people passing by the village also have a random chance of joining it too. Again, we're going to have this kind of focused around this little town centre that's developing, right? Then we can build this. So before they build it, they'll actually bring and stockpile all the resources at the site first. That's really cool. So you'll see them now, they're going to come and bring 15 logs, and then eventually 5 stone. So really cool. I like the way that the sort of population moves about and interacts with the map like that. Yeah, we've played a few of these kind of little old school medieval style city builders on the channel now, and this one's definitely grabbing me the most. You guys will have to let me know if you're enjoying this and want to see more. So here he comes now, Mr. Man, who's dropping off some stone. And then he's going to start bringing the logs here in a minute. So we're back once our granary is built, and then we can stock our resources and assign a transporter, and then start stocking some berries up at the granary. And there it is. A wonderful little building that is, right? Super cute. So again, we're going to need to assign a villager to be a transporter. So even though they actually store the berries here, they actually need to be transported to a granary to be like either consumed and then sold out onto a market. So there's still another process that needs to happen once they arrive at the gathering hut. So again, let's have a little look at where our population is currently split across. So we've got 3 foragers. Let's take away one of those. Let's send him to be a transporter. So we've removed Ismay from being a gatherer and then put her into the granary. So she is now going to start moving berries back in 2, but we want to assign the resource, and then we want to hit this button here for stock maximum, which is going to tell them to stock the maximum amount of berries that we can, and we can do this with 4 separate resources per granary. And then we'll see that there's now 34 berries in here, and then this can now be filled with produce. Yes, please. So we can now build another thing, which is going to be a little market stall. So let's have a little look at this, shall we? So when we place in one of these types of buildings, it can be customized to look in various different ways. This is amazing. This is such a cute way of doing it. So we need to give it like a market stall. So let's spin this around, kind of have it facing there. Seems cool. Let's do another one as well if we can. Let's place in another one. Then this time we'll place in a market store with a blue tent. So there's also different factions to please within this game as well, which we'll have a look at in a minute. We can put like a tent on them and then place this down here. So the ability to customize and design the looks of your kind of essential buildings here is really cool. I like that. Really neat way of doing it. Also going to take away a woodcutter now as well, because we're just kind of stockpiling wood a little bit, even though we do need a fair bit of wood. So we will remove him. You can start working, and then eventually we'll send someone over here to work on the market stalls. Let's also add a new builder in as well, because we're taking a little while to get things built, and there's one person currently sat in the middle of the town centre, unemployed anyway. So now the next quest is to fulfill the needs of your newcomers. So you can click on them and it will give you their needs. Currently they want food and water, and they will be able to buy food once the market stalls are ready, but they do however still need water, so we will come in and find them a well. Again, it seems like it's going to be a nice place or a nice building to have based somewhere around the town centre. Again, 5 stone and 10 wood to build. And that's just going to join the build queue now. So again now, here we go, right? We need some workers assigned to our market stalls. So let's come in and see where we can possibly afford to lose somebody from. I think I'm going to lose a forager. So we've got 42 berries at the minute. That stockpile's going nicely. And then I'm going to tell her to come and work here. And they should start selling the food, and this will start earning us money alongside satisfying the needs of them as well. Again, once we have the water in from the well. It's really cute how they bring all the resources to the site. They don't just spawn them, they also have to go and get them. I like that. The eyes are unsettling though, aren't they? It's like, I think it's the fact they don't blink. I think that's what it is. Okay. Wonderful news. So, also tell someone to build my second market store there as well. You actually need to hit the build button on a new building, which will be helpful. So, their water meter is satisfied now, and they must purchase and consume food from a market to prevent starvation. This is now a possibility for them with a market store over here. So once you have your market built and your worker assigned, you actually want to come in and assign a resource, very much how you do with the granary. You need to assign the resource first. It's important you do that, as I've just found out. Okay, so we have encourage immigration, which is to raise the happiness of your village to 100. Okay, and we fulfill that happiness by giving them their needs by water, food, and comfort. So within the game, there is kind of a faction mechanic system. There's the labour, the kingdom, and the clergy. So kind of, you know, the peasants, the king, and the church. And there's different things that you can do that please them. And you can also redeem kind of labour influence and labour splendour, which are the currencies of each faction, to redeem new buildings like warehouses and bailiffs' offices and whatnot. So a really cool system, and it's essentially kind of like an element of diplomacy seeping through from a real-time strategy game into a simulation like this, and I really like that. That's a really cool way of just expanding the kind of classic medieval city builder gameplay loop. So I'm a huge fan of that, and we'll definitely explore it as well. Okay, so we're just waiting for average village happiness to hit 100%, and then we can apparently encourage immigration, which has literally just happened as I was about to move on to the next stage of the video, so that doesn't matter. So now we have this immigration thing open up here. So the immigration is currently at its maximum, and we have another wave coming in 6 days. Now let's come in and start building a new building. Let's come in with a sawmill, why don't we? Just so we can start to process some of the logs that are being put down here. So come and build that, and again, let's just double check how many builders we actually have assigned. Yeah, we have 2. That's going to be okay. I hope we can all appreciate how this little trodden path system is working as well, everyone. Isn't it wonderful? That just kind of spans out from your village centre, and you know, you can imagine how big these places can get if you carry on playing here. With all these little trodden pathways and different designs coming in. But either way, we have a message from the kingdom. The kingdom has recognised your efforts in establishing your settlement. I am but your humble servant. So we have a new quest to promote our first newcomers by building the Lord's Manor, assigning a Great Hall function to the Lord Manor Room. And at the start of the month, promote a villager to serf. We also have a quest to unlock the warehouse by paying the labour influence to unlock the warehouse in the book. Let's have a little look at that, shall we? So there it is, okay. So we can redeem one of our labour influence for the warehouse, which is used for storing and trading resources of type, resource material, goods, and luxury. Okay, wonderful. So we don't really want to promote them just yet because that can start to leave imbalances within kind of the workforce and the economy, I guess, right? If people start getting promoted too soon. And let's go ahead and build the Lord's Manor. So again, it's kind of similar to the marketplaces, but a lot bigger. In terms of it's a customizable building. Now, ideally, I would like it upon this next sort of territory here. I think that's what we're going to do. So if we come back into territories, this one here is 500, and we are very nearly at that threshold. It says as it goes down because we're actually building stuff in a minute. I would really like the Lord's Manor on the hill. I feel like I'm trying to be too detailed here. Do I need to let some of the city skylines go? Actually, yeah, I'm a slave for a view, so I'm gonna wait until I hit 500 coins so I can grab that next territory and then put the Lord's Manor right on the edge of the cliff. So we'll be right back. Before we actually build the Lord's Manor, let's have a little chat about residential zoning for the first time. So you will get heat maps that kind of correspond to the desirability, red being horrendous, no one wants to live near lumberyards and stone cutters, sawmills, etc. We want to live near kind of the town centres and nicer areas. So we just simply paint them out using the same tool that we used for the forestation stuff. And houses will naturally grow up here. And the area does have to be big enough for them, otherwise they won't grow, so do bear that in mind if you are playing. And then we'll see now as the area pops in. Our Sims will head and start building their houses. So the game's tagline is like organic simulation. And it very much lives up to that name. There's very little control over how the city looks, and that's quite freeing in a way. You're not drawing in the roads and placing main assets like you do normally. It's a little bit different and it's nice. But either way, these guys are going to build their homes, and in about 27 coins time, I will be able to buy the next tile. Fantastic news, everyone. We are very nearly at the point where we can buy this next territory. And there we go. We now have that next territory. That is fantastic news. So we'll come back in and place the Lord's Manor building now. And I'm going to place this like right here. Okay. And then same thing again. So we can add in mandatory parts, which we need one right here. Okay. So this is kind of like the main core of the house, if you like. So I'm going to have that right there. And then you can add on other mandatory sections like a door, like an extension, like a wooden extension as well, perhaps, if you wanted to. And all these little modular pieces can be rotated and snapped in at different angles. So very customizable. I wish that a lot of the emergency services and city skylines were handled like this. This is amazing. Very modular building like this. It lends itself so well to the city simulator. So there's a couple of different shortcuts we can use as well. We can left click and drag to change the heights of stuff. And you can drag that around, so maybe like a little tower on the back of it there. And then there's decorations as well, right? There's little wall fountains. You can get some wall banners up on the top if you want. So really cool, super customizable. And then once it's ready to build, you do of course need the currency, which I need 140, which I'll have to wait for, of course, because is it just me, but do I just spend all my money in city simulations right at the start? It's worth it though, I think. Alright. So cool, we've just told the Lord's Manor to start being built. They are currently transporting stuff up there. Let's take you off of the market, and then we're going to assign another builder, just so we can come in and get the stuff built quicker. So we also have an option here, a request to unlock a trade route. So we come back into the book here, we can have a look at trade. We can have Northbury, which is allied with the labour forces and the peasants, etc. Middle, which is allied with the clergy, which is your church and religious people. And then Davenport, which is the kingdom. So kings and queens and jesters and etc. So with each of these trade routes, you can pay a resource to unlock them. The first one with Northbury is actually going to cost me 20 planks. And it's going to tell you what they want to buy, and we know we're producing berries and planks, so they'll buy those off of us. We're not currently producing wine or polished stone, and then what they want to sell to us as well. So once we get 20 planks in, we can unlock the trade route and complete that quest. Fantastic. So we've just been given 2 new villagers, which are now going to spawn up down here. We actually have 5 unemployed at the minute. I feel like I maybe want to paint out a little bit more residential. So we can maybe see some housing kind of move up and down towards the Lord's Manor and hopefully create a little bit of a pathway once people sort of start walking up and down there, but we'll see anyway. Yeah, so we're definitely running low on logs, aren't we? So let's add some more people into the lumber camp. It looks as though we will actually need to paint out our extraction area too, just to start harvesting these trees up here as well. You can reforest areas as well. There is an option for reforestation, and you can place like a forester's yard as well if you like. Look at how houses coming in now and how they kind of all organically spawn in like that. There's no manual placement or zoning. It's very freeing. It's the best way. It's the best way to describe it, I think, isn't it? It really is. Have a look at one of those trade routes again anyway. So we unlock this one now. So that gives us 1 free territory as well for doing that. That's really good. So we can even have a look at unlocking one of these as well and start expanding up this way or that way. Yeah, the hexagon system makes expansion, I guess, better. It's better than a square, right? There's more sides. That's my understanding of it anyway. Okay, so yeah, let's just, I guess, open up the next one over here. Cool. That just expands down now. So now we need to set up the first trade route by building a warehouse, which hopefully we do have unlocked somewhere. Yes, there we go. So used for storing and trading. Yep, that sounds good. That sounds good to me. And why don't we see if we can keep this? It's kind of sat against some sort of main road, right? I guess we'll see what happens here. So we've still got 3 people unemployed showing out in the middle of the town. And then you can just now sort of, come and assign them wherever it is that you want to go. We can maybe store in some of the fish here that we're getting from the trade now and tell them to stock the maximum amount of that. So really cool. It's a really interesting take on the kind of medieval city simulator, if you like. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I hope you've enjoyed Foundation. I really have. It's a really interesting, quite freeing way of playing this type of game. And it does feel different from the usual kind of stock of copy and paste medieval settlement survivors that we seem to be getting quite a lot of these days. Foundation is different and I do like it. If you guys want to see more of it, please do let me know by hitting the like button and commenting down below. Equally as much if you hate this game and it's really not up your street, then leave me a dislike as well. But if you want to see another episode where we can just kind of hang out and explore the game together and unlock these trade routes and explore the kind of labour, clergy and kingdom systems, then we can do. But I will thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.